Hello and welcome to the second unboxing video of this channel. Already we have had me stumbling over words. This is why I don't do unscripted videos, folks. I think I talked about that in the Beatles unboxing too, but what are you gonna do? So anyway, I got this box set of, it is a bit misleading because it says the complete albums, but it's not the complete albums. I think there's actually two more after that one. But in any case, it's Tim Buckley, who was this folk singer in the 60s and 70s, also a shitty webcomic maker, but that's a different Tim Buckley, who I think nowadays is probably mostly known for being Jeff Buckley's dad, who also died super young. But which is kind of a shame because I actually prefer Tim Buckley to Jeff Buckley, you know. Probably helps he was around longer, but he also did a couple of really good, weird, really weird albums in the early 70s. So let's open this up. As can be seen, this is a considerably smaller box than the Beatles one, which is natural. This cost me about half. Maybe even like a third as much as that Beatles box set did. Like, oof, my wallet was not happy with me that week. It says Elektra here, but, and this is the important thing, this is why I bought this. This also has the two albums he put out on Straight Records in 1969 and 1970. For those who don't know, Straight Records was Frank Zappa's record label. But I think it was Herb Cohen, who was Zappa's manager and the co-owner of Straight Records, who wound up bringing Tim Buckley in to the picture. Most of his stuff was released on Elektra. I think his last couple were on Warner Brothers. So this is a little more like that. I have a Deep Purple Mark I box set that I should show you guys someday, and this is a little more like that. In terms of the size of the packaging. Now, if we open it up, oh yeah. Unlike that Deep Purple Mark I, this does not have a booklet though. So we have his first album from 1966, really very good 66 folk rock kind of stuff. I've listened to this album once. I like it, you know. Folk is not really my thing, but as folk music goes, this is very good. You have his second album, Goodbye and Hello. Oh, they did the thing on the back thing. Oh, which I guess had a gatefold, so that's pretty cool. A lot of people say this or the next one is his best. I've never heard it. Happy Sad. I guess this one didn't have a gatefold. This one I have also never heard. Blue Afternoon. This was the first one he put out on Straight Records. This was in 1969. Also had a gatefold. Nice. I have heard a little bit of this. It's much jazzier, but not really weird yet. At least not what I heard of it. The next two albums, Lorca. This is where he gets really good to me. This album is fantastic, particularly the title track, which is like 9 minutes, almost 10 minutes of just creepy organ and jazzy whatever with him singing lyrics. I don't even think what he's saying is actually that creepy, but it's the way he sings it that just it's just uncomfortable. And this one was also on Elektra. I think this was the last one on Elektra. Actually, let me look at I want to see if what kind of a label they have for. Oh, they have the Warner Brothers. That makes sense. That makes sense, because Straight was a subsidiary of Warner Brothers, a kind of a Zappa and Cohen's little vanity label. A lot of really good stuff came out on Straight Records. I actually have like this many I want to eventually own every album that came out on Bizarre and Straight Records, aside from maybe the comedy albums, but like even like the GTO's album and An Evening with Wild Man Fisher, because of the curiosity of it, you know. Like I'm a Zappa super fan, and that's one of my favorite periods of Zappa. But this isn't a video about Frank Zappa. So anyway, his last album on Straight Records, really minimalist package, really thin packaging for this. I wonder if this is how the vinyl came, but I do not know. Another Warner Brothers CD. This is Star Sailor. To me, is like the best Tim Buckley album. Like this is to singer-songwriter music what Trout Mask Replica and Lick My Decals Off Baby are to blues rock. It is, in my eyes, it is that good. Pretty much every song on here is fantastic. I especially love the title track, and then the Healing Festival is just wild. It's just this, he is singing like a man possessed on that song, and like you have this tribal drumming, and it brings to mind this like hellish pagan ritual going on in the background. It's really, really good stuff. Like, I would recommend this album to someone who likes, like, well, I already mentioned Captain Beefheart. There is kind of that. Also to Tom Waits. I would recommend this to someone who likes Tom Waits. And I've heard Scott Walker compared to this album a lot, but I don't know anything about him, so I may just be talking out of turn completely right here. This album, I know nothing about. I know that he apparently went in a much more R&B and funk-influenced direction after Star Sailor. So that's that. But I have not heard anything from this album. As I said, I think he had either one or two more albums after this that for whatever reason are not on this set. I don't know if it's legal issues or what it is. I believe this also came out on Warner Brothers. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, he may have had albums on Discreet Records as well, but I'm not 100% about that. I could be completely wrong. And then this, I think this is just B-sides and rarities. Actually looking at it with all these takes, I'm pretty sure this is just rarities. Different versions of the songs, different mixes. The box itself is pretty nice. I like the sort of wood tone thing. This actually came out this year, which I was unaware of. And oh yeah. So the reason I bought this is that the aforementioned Straight Records albums, more specifically this one, this is his best album. But you cannot buy this album by itself. And you have not been able to buy this album by itself for like a good 25 to 30 years, and that's because the situation with Straight Records and the albums that were released on Straight Records is really, really not good. And in the last couple years, a lot of them have thankfully drifted back into print. I think a lot of it is that both Gail Zappa and Herb Cohen are dead now. And I know that Gail apparently had some objections to some of the Straight Records material coming back into print. I think the Wild Man Fisher record in particular. But But no, Star Sailor and Blue Afternoon have been out of print, and this you can get on a there's a little compilation, because I looked at buying that first. There's one of those 5 classic albums from thus and such that came out in the UK, but you could get as an import. Has this, but it doesn't have Star Sailor, and Star Sailor is my favorite one, so naturally I went with this. But yeah, so that's an unfortunate thing, and they brought a lot of that stuff back into print. But that's the reason that like a lot of the great albums from Bizarre and Straight Records from Straight Records, because I think Wildman Fisher and Zappa is all the music that ever actually came out on Bizarre Records rather. But no, a lot of that for a very, very long time, for like 30 to 40 years, most of what was on Straight Records was out of print. That's why, for example, like everybody goes nuts about Trout Mask Replica, and nobody talks about Lick My Decals Off, Baby. And that's mostly because it's not because it's Lick My Decals is a weaker album. It's because Trout Mask has always been in print, and Decals was only in print for a couple years in the 70s, and then out of print pretty much for the rest of the last century. Thankfully, it's back in print, and you can get it, and it's a really good album, so I would definitely recommend that. Anyway, that is the video for today. I bid you all a relatively fond farewell. I've got a Christmas episode coming, so you can all look forward to that. And have a nice day.